Okay, hi everybody. I'm Bud Kraus, web design instructor and consultant, and I teach HTML, CSS, and WordPress online and in class. And I'm about to get started with talking about what's new in WordPress 4.0. I'm having a little bit of problems with my mouse for a second or two. Hopefully that won't be a real big problem. But now I've muted everybody, so you can't talk. Only I can talk. I will unmute at various times along the way. This will only take 15 minutes or so, but I will stick around and answer every question. So everybody has any questions about anything that I do or something that you want done or have explained, we'll do it. Okay, so there's no time limit as far as I'm concerned. So let's get started with... Oops, we're not going to get there. Let's get started with one little piece of housekeeping here, and we can get started with what's new in WordPress 4.0. Now, some of you may know what this is. You'll say, oh, I remember what this is. This is the site that I use when I teach my WordPress A to Z webinar series, the next of which is starting on October 16th. More about that later on. But so this is sort of the practice demo site where everything about, or many of the features that WordPress offers is built into the site. But that's not exactly what we're here for. Let's get into what are the new things about WordPress. First, let us understand when we say WordPress 4.0, we're talking about what people refer to as the core of WordPress. It's not updating any themes. We're not updating any plugins. We're just updating the core, the essence of WordPress. That is the page editor and post editor and media library and the guts of what WordPress is. So let's get into that admin. Now, I know some of you are old timers at this. You've been past students of mine, and I thank you for that. And some of you have never, taken any of my webinars. But what we're looking at over here is the admin of the WordPress site, of this particular site, and of course the admin meaning where I administer, where I manage, where I create all the content for the site. First major change in WordPress 4.0, and I should say parenthetically that just because it went to 4.0, you think, oh, the big number 0, it's revolutionary. No, WordPress has told the world, and by that I mean the company that really makes this kind of thing called Automatic. Anyway, they have told everybody that we're not going to revolutionize WordPress every time we do a big update. We're just going to evolutionize, if that's a word. So it is constantly evolving. But let's get to the stuff where they evolved or where they made a step forward from the previous version, 3.9.1, to what we have today. So I'm just going to go into where all my pages are. And the big change, let's just pick out any particular page that already exists. Let's look at this page over here, the home page. And we'll go into the editor. And the biggest change, or one of the big changes, is now right over here. These are all the toolbars, that you can control. It's like a word processor, as most people know. Well, now when I scroll, which I'm scrolling now through the editor, okay, where I make my content, you can see that I'm scrolling, but this stays in place. Well, that's really nice. Before, all this, what you're seeing over here, all the controls, they ended up over here, which isn't very useful. So now everything stays in place. So no matter how far down you scroll in your page, and let's just say I wanted to add some content, I type like this, then it doesn't matter. As long as I'm scrolling down, this will always stay in place. Or if I scroll up, you'll notice too, let me just move something out of the way here. You'll notice too, on the right and left sides, your controls move too, which is great. So the editing surface that you use to create a page or a post, in this case a page, will always be in front of you. So that's a major user interface upgrade to what they had before. So that's big change number one. Another change they made was to the media library. Oops, we do want to leave the page, so I'm going to do that. Okay. And now this sort of looks familiar. This is what was there before, but now they've added grid view. So there's a new little button over here for us. And here's grid view. So I can just see all the designers out there going, yay, finally. And so you now get to see all your images, what you have for your site in front of you, which is fantastic. Now, I have a little problem with it because it's not as, you can't do a whole lot with it. That is, well, the only thing you can do, for example, is to, let's see, if I want to click on an image, and then if I want to do some editing, I could click this over here, and I could just do some editing. It's, of course, better to edit with a real graphics application, but I could do some editing over here. Well, what is kind of nice, though, is if I want to flip through my images, I've got sort of an image flipper right over here, which is great. So I can do that. And if I need to amend or add to any of this information that's for my images, I can do that right through here. So I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to actually just do one little thing. So there's a little X over here. I can X out and just go back to the original view. And what I like about the original view and what they still have is they have all these controls down here, like to edit, delete, so delete permanently, view, and so forth, which they don't have when you're in grid view. So grid view is fine, but some of these options aren't available in the grid view. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But grid view is really nice. Now, one other nice little thing they did was sort of how video works. And this is really cool. So I'm going to show you this. Now, one thing you can do with video, let's add a video. Now, what I'm showing you here isn't particularly new, but in a way, I'll show you what is new. I have a video over here. This is my wife. And I'm just going to drop the video over here. Now, so I'm not using YouTube for this. You can see that I'm uploading it over here. Yes, I can use YouTube and Vimeo and other video distribution services. But what I've done is upload an MP4 video. It happens to be a real short one that I'm going to use in my site. So we're going to just hold that off right over there. And I'm going to go back to the media library real quick. I really haven't left it, but we're just going to go into, let's see, right over here. So you can see I've just added this one over here. That's fine. Now we're going to use it. So I'm going to go over to Pages, back to my Pages, and I'm going to add this video, which is of my wife sowing seeds in a garden. So I happen to have a page already done called Plant. Oh, here it is, Plant. And I'll show you how easy it is now. Now, here's something that's new, okay? So uploading videos isn't exactly a game changer, but this is definitely new, what I'm about to show you, how easy it is to work with videos now. So I'm just going to put my cursor in where I want my video to go. And where it says Add Media, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to add the media. And I'm going to add the media, insert this. Watch this. So now, this is brand new. You can actually play the media right inside your editor, which we couldn't do before. Come on, media, play. Here we go. There she is, or that's the top of her head anyway. And that's my garden, or part of it. So, of course, if you want to see what it looks like on the page, all you have to do is update your page, and then go out to your site and view your page. Let's see what we have here. And view the page. And everything should be good. Here's the video. So that's nice. So you don't even have to publish it. You don't have to update it. You can actually see the video in the editor before you go to publish it. Now I'm going to pause here for a minute. And I'm going to see if there's any questions. So just give me a second here. And I will unmute. I think everybody can hear me. Okay. So I know I have the feedback. Anybody have a question?
It's a monthly fee.
Somebody's talking. Hold on.
I'm going to go with yet. I know that
I don't. All right, I'm going to have to mute. Sorry. Somebody is talking, and I wish you would stop.
Host, and I think they have a basic hosting package for under $10 a month.
I wish somebody would stop talking. That would be really helpful. But I guess they can't hear me either. All right. All right. So let's see what we have going on from here. Sorry about that, folks. But as I've said, I really don't want people talking or doing anything that makes any kinds of distractions, and somebody either didn't get the message or the memo or the email, and they're talking through this, and that's not really helpful. All right, I'm going to, what I'm now going to do is one other way to do a video, and then I'll show you one other new thing which deals with plugins. So along the same lines, if you want to add a video, another thing that's changed, let's say I have this page called Harvest, and I have a video to add right over in here, okay? So I'm going to take the video right from YouTube. So here it is. I've already gone to YouTube, and now it is so easy. All you have to do is just copy the URL. They've made it even easier. This is kind of new. Copy the URL, go back to the page that you want to edit, go to edit the page, okay? And when I do that, I'm going to paste my YouTube code, just the URL. That's all I'm going to do. See how this stayed in place? This is good. All this stayed in place as I moved around. And now I'm going to just do Command V. And watch this. With a little bit of luck, this will, I don't know what's going on. Let's see if I reload the page. Let's see if this will work. Something's really, well, I'm having problems with, I think, the internet, actually. Oh, here we go. So let's go back. I think we'll be all right. And this is not good. We don't want the, let's put it in over here the way it's supposed to be. And let's see if this will work this time. We'll just stick it right in over here. No, that's not what I want. Well, let's do this. Let's go back here. Let's grab that URL one more time. I think I had a little problem with the internet for a second or two, and that might have been causing some of the problem. So now, there we go. I did have a problem. All right, shame on the internet. And now you can see that this time I didn't upload an MP4 file. I just grabbed the URL from YouTube. I could have gone to Vimeo, other services, put it right inside of my editor. If I want to test it out, I can play it right inside the editor. So that's all new. And that's it. And there's my head. Okay. So that's that. Now, one other little, there's actually one more major change that took place, and that is dealing with plugins. And I really like this change a lot, and I think you will too. And that is, of course, if you know plugins, plugins are just like apps. They extend the core functionality of what WordPress does. We don't have, we could leave the page. So we're going to go to plugins. And now this looks really, oops, and we're having problems with the internet. That's okay. Let's go to installed plugins. So these are the plugins that I have actively installed on this particular website. But if I want to add new plugins, so I'll go over here, and this is what's new. So the interface is totally different now. It's pretty. It's got all these little nice little icons. This particular page shows you the plugins that they're featuring. Most people know that most of the plugins are free, so you can try them out. And plugins do so many different things. It's what gives WordPress its strength. And if you don't like any of the plugins over here, you can go through this tag cloud over here and find plugins that fit these different categories. Or you still have the option of searching for a plugin. So let's say I wanted to do a plugin called Hide Title. And do that. And so here's the plugin for Hide Title, which is nice. Now, they also have, and they've continued this, featured plugins and popular plugins. Let's take a look at the featured plugins. Okay, here we were, featured. And what's nice too about this now is we can install it. We've always been able to install plugins right from the interface, but now they give you a much nicer looking overlay of the the information associated with the BuddyPress plugin. And they didn't name this after me, but I do know what the BuddyPress plugin is. And also information about installing and screenshots and stuff like that. That's all here. So rather than going over to WordPress.org and finding the same information, you can just do it right from here, from your particular installation, and find everything you need. They also, I think they beefed up this whole thing over here. They showed you, popularity and ratings and things like that. So they've done a much better job with this. And of course, if you want to install the plugin, you don't have to click on anything else. You can just click this and install the plugin, and away you go. So that is, believe it or not, the 15-minute tour of what's new in WordPress, largely dealing with the videos and the interface, which is very important, the editing interface, and also with the plugins, how they beefed it up. So that's new. So I'm going to try one more time to unmute everybody and see if we can get some questions, because I have a feeling some of you will have some questions. Maybe what we'll have to do is the chat. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. Hold on one sec. So I'm going to now unmute everybody. Okay. Well, it's better. All right. Does anybody want to try to get a question in? Oh, way better. I hear typing, so somebody's out there. Maybe I'll do this too.
Like, my friend Kate already has 2. She's like 23.
Okay, somebody, I hear a female voice talking. Please, not now. This is not a good time. Hello? Okay. I just did a little change over here. Does anybody have any question about anything? All right. Well, if that's the case, I'll let you think about it for another second or two. Let me just get in something real quick before we go. I'm going to mute everybody again. Okay.
Oh.
All right. I had to put you on mute. I just want to take a second or two, if you don't mind, just to talk a little bit about my services and what I do. So let me just go through this. This will only take a minute or two, and maybe some of you are interested. And if you are, of course, you know how to get in touch with me. I do webinars just like what you're doing here. I do group and private training. So the group webinars are something like, well, let's talk about the private training first. That is one-on-one training, so you don't normally get all that feedback and other people talking. One is the starter overview webinar, where you do everything from, I go through everything that you need to go through to get you started. I do another kind of webinar, child theme development, where if you're a designer and you want to learn how to transform a theme to make it look exactly the way you want it to. That's very important for designers to know how to do this. It's a process. I do that. I also do another kind of webinar called theme training. So let's say you've already bought a theme, and this is very common. I get a lot of this. I bought this theme. I don't understand it. Can you help me break it down so that I could use it? That's what I call theme training. So I do that too. And I also do another kind of webinar called moving your site or migrating. This is very common. You build a website on one particular host, and then you got to move it to another host, and oh my God, now what am I going to do? I can't copy and paste everything. That's right, you can't. So then you have to come to me, and either I'll show you how to do it or I'll do it myself for you. And then the Have It Your Way, no, it's not about making fast food webinar, which is anything that you want. So that's all customized private training. And the other kind of training I do is group training, and I run a series called the WordPress A to Z Webinar Series, which I'm starting on October 16th at 7 p.m., okay? So you might want to check that out. If you're members, I'm going to say parenthetically, if you're members of the Editorial Freelancers Association, I think some of you are out there, you know that it starts October 10th, so get in touch with them or me, and I'll give you more information. It's the same series of 4 different webinars where I go through these different topics. Each webinar lasts a little bit more than an hour, and there's questions and answers and things like that. So you go, by the time you're done, you get a really good feel for WordPress. All the webinars that I always do are always taped so that you can always replay them. Plus, no matter what, I will always give you, if you need, a free WordPress website to work on to practice what you're learning. The other thing that I've been doing more of and want to do more of, quite frankly, is the website design and development, which is, so I don't want to just teach anymore. I want to do, and I'm starting to do that kind of thing, which is new site development or site upgrading or site maintenance. So if you have a WordPress site that you want me to work on, which is common, typical, people come and say, I don't want you to teach me all this. Why don't you just do it? So that's the kind of work that I do too. So you can come and think about me for helping you with anything, whether it's making the site from scratch or, like I say, doing a site update. And that's it. So I thank you for coming. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmute for the last time and see if there's any questions. But of course, you can contact me. There's all the contact information. And hopefully, if anybody's interested in anything, you just let me know and I'll help you out. All right. Now I'm going to unmute. I don't want to just say goodbye until we unmute. All right. So for the, okay. So unfortunately, somebody didn't get the memo about not talking. I guess they got it now. So does anybody have any questions?
Hey, Bud, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Okay, I just wanted to thank you. Some of those things were pretty interesting. And I just had a question. What is the advantage of having a video resident in your media library rather than just sending it over from YouTube?
Very good question. Well, the difference would be, I think, delivery and reliability of delivery of the media, because you know that YouTube is going to be rock solid, and you don't really know, unless you do know what server you're using, what kind of capacity it has in terms of delivering video. It may be that the differences are negligible, but I sort of, one thing that's kind of nice is that YouTube also has a lot of video controls like captioning and annotation and things like that you can add to your video without too much trouble. So that's the nice little feature too. It really just depends on your preferences. It's, you could go either way. Now, here's the other thing too that I'm thinking of. If your videos are really long and they take up a lot of space, okay, on your server, you may have a limitation on file sizes on your server, but you may not have quite the limitation that you have on YouTube. Now, they do have some limitations, but it's pretty big as far as how big your file size can be, or how many files or how megabytes or gigabytes you can take up on your account. So, that's an advantage that you might want to use with YouTube too. Okay?
Okay.
Good question. Interesting question. Anybody else? Okay. All right. So, with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Good afternoon. And thank you again for attending. And one last little piece. I have everybody, I think, on my mailing list now, and in the weeks to come,
people love to give out their credit card information.
Somebody's talking.
That's funny.
So in the weeks to come, I will be rolling out a new site, Joy of WP, which will really help a lot of people who are beginners or maybe not such beginners. That will talk about plugins and themes and all kinds of stuff that you hear me talk about, sort of like an extension of my webinars, but it will be, of course, open to the public and a little bit different. So anyway, thank you again. And you can look forward to getting a link so you can download this webinar. Hopefully it won't have all the feedback in it, but I can't promise that. Okay?
Thanks, Bud.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.